Kevin, thank you. Meanwhile, breaking news from overnight, a suspected robber was shot while trying to hold someone up at an ATM.
Yeah, overnight we learned that suspect was wanted for murder.
In a remarkable display of citizen intervention, an ordinary individual became the unexpected first responder during an attempted robbery at an ATM.
HPD tells us that a man pulled up here to get some money out of the ATM, and as he was doing that, police say the suspect came from around the corner and ordered him at gunpoint to give up the money.
What happened here is going to amaze you to your core. The incident unfolded on Saturday night in the West Chase area on Westheimer, quickly becoming breaking news, leaving witnesses in awe of the stranger's selfless intervention.
The victim was trying to comply when the suspect started pistol whipping him and hitting him in the head with his handgun. At that point, a third party who had been driving by witnessed the event, and as he was passing by, he came back, and at that time, he pulled his own weapon.
Yeah, the man who was driving by came to defend the victim. Police say he pulled out a gun and shot the suspect twice. The suspect was hit in the leg and the foot and was not able to get away. He was taken to the hospital. And just this morning, we're learning from police that the suspect was wanted for murder out of Louisiana.
The suspect, who was wanted for murder in Louisiana, had targeted an innocent person using the ATM. However, destiny had a different plan in store. This shocking revelation added a chilling dimension to the unfolding events. Investigators claimed that the stranger happened to witness the robbery in progress. The victim, intending to withdraw cash from the ATM, parked his vehicle at the bank. Suddenly, the armed suspect emerged from around the corner, demanding that the victim surrender his money. The situation escalated rapidly when the suspect resorted to pistol whipping the victim, striking him with a firearm. Initially complying with the suspect's demands, the victim's compliance quickly turned into terror as the suspect began pistol whipping him mercilessly. However, fortune intervened in the form of a passerby driving at that very moment nearby. But just as hope seemed to fade, a compassionate bystander was again driving by at that very moment. Witnessing the distressing events transpire, this courageous individual took swift action. Filled with concern for the victim's well-being, this courageous individual decided to draw their weapon and confront the assailant. As the situation escalated, multiple gunshots rang out, with the defender aiming accurately at the suspect's leg and foot. The specifics of what transpired are still developing, but it's obvious that this anonymous citizen's participation completely altered the course of events. There was a sudden shift in the balance of power due to their readiness to approach the armed suspect. Unable to move, the wounded suspect was quickly captured and taken to the hospital for treatment. The victim and other onlookers were thankfully unharmed during the incident. Authorities spoke with the victim and other witnesses after the incident, acquiring critical data to support their investigation. Local media's safety tracker highlighted the disturbing number of robberies in the 77042 zip code, highlighting the significance of awareness and community assistance. News channels continued to delve deeper into the circumstances surrounding the suspect's murder charge, seeking to shed light on the individual's dark past and potential motives for the criminal activities. While the media may not always focus on such good incidents, they occur more frequently than one might realize. Many responsible gun owners prioritize the safety of others, and they are prepared to act decisively to prevent harm. In a world where vulnerability can and will be exploited, as has been since the dawn of time, the actions of this unnamed defender remind us of the strength and unity within communities. Their selflessness and willingness to confront danger head-on are a powerful testament to the unwavering spirit of ordinary citizens who refuse to let fear dictate their actions. This extraordinary act of courage reminds us that every day heroes walk amongst us. This unnamed stranger's swift and selfless response illustrates community's resilience and collective spirit in adversity. Isn't that what our country is built on? That promise of looking out for one another and coming to help our fellow citizens in times of need. This recent incident perfectly exemplifies the importance of firearm ownership for self-defense and the defense of others. Without a gun, the courageous individual who stepped in to help would have been limited by a mere knife or whatever they would have used, to bystander status, potentially becoming another robbery victim. The concept that individuals are powerless and incapable of defending themselves against criminals is often upheld. However, this narrative challenges the notion that advocates for granting the government greater authority and control over our lives to ensure our protection. It's crucial to recognize the significance of incidents where responsible gun owners employ their weapons to safeguard others. The significance of the most recent Second Amendment Supreme Court ruling cannot be understated. It reaffirmed the right to bear arms for self-defense and the protection of others, not just your own stuff, particularly in states where obtaining a concealed carry license has become incredibly challenging due to restrictive government policies. It's vital to understand that these stories of defensive gun use occur in pro-gun states where law-abiding citizens are granted the freedom to carry firearms. Conversely, such stories are scarce in anti-gun states where only criminals and law enforcement possess firearms. In this particular case, there was no police officers present to intervene and halt the robbery. However, a responsible citizen with a gun swiftly protected another individual from harm. Such an act of heroism would be widely praised and given headline coverage. Unfortunately, it often goes unnoticed or underreported. The media's selective attention focuses on negative incidents involving firearm, while stories of citizens successfully defending themselves and others are overshadowed. However, why? Why that be? Well, the solution lies in the stories about citizens protecting themselves, contradicting the myth that citizens are only victims who depend on the state for safety. The incident shows that regular people can protect themselves with weapons when law authorities cannot help them immediately. We must ask why criminals' victimizing of innocent people receives more attention in the media than instances of civilians protecting themselves. The idea that people can only be victims and cannot fight themselves against criminals is meant to be maintained. We should give the government more control over our lives so that they can protect us. The importance of situations like this one, in which a good gun owner uses their weapon to defend others, has to be acknowledged too. It has to be a part of that discussion just as much as anything else is. You know what I'm talking about, the other stuff. These tales remind us that we are capable and we are entitled to self and community defense. So instead, let's provide the right to wield arms to those willing to take responsibility for it. However, since individuals are free to make their own decisions, even if some of us think we're foolish, those who choose not to own firearms can rely upon the government. It is crucial to understand that a community of law-abiding gun owners does not interfere with the police's capacity to perform their duties. However, restrictions on gun ownership limit citizens' capacity for self-defense. When it comes to defense shootings, some are blatantly obvious. In these cases, you won't even find yourself in a police car, much less a courtroom. There are also situations where a pro-gun prosecutor looking to make an example of a gun owner can try and charge you for using force to defend yourself. Suddenly, you gotta pay tens of thousands to defend yourself in a criminal and possibly a civil case. All because somebody tried to rob you and you shot them and they got hurt. Folks who carry a pistol have to consider getting some insurance for self-defense. In another similar recent incident at a gas station convenience store in southeast Houston, 4 masked robbers made a grave mistake and they targeted the customer who actually happened to be John Wick. No, not quite. The armed customer didn't hesitate to defend himself though, opening fire and hitting 3 of the robbers. Bang, 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 knocked them out. Anyways, unfortunately an innocent bystander was injured in the crossfire, so probably shouldn't have taken that note of levity there, but I'm sure they're fine. The incident occurred at around 8 p.m. on the Circle K Valero near the South Loop in Park Place. The robbery unfolded when the 5 suspects entered the store, with one of them remaining in a getaway car while the other 4 stormed inside, wearing masks and brandishing guns. They began demanding the customers' belongings at gunpoint. The suspects are believed to be young men, possibly juveniles. At some point, a man inside the store pulled out his firearm and exchanged gunfire with these robbers, and as a result, bullets struck 3 out of the 4 suspects, and an innocent bystander was also hit. It remains unclear who fired the shots that injured the bystander. This incident, captured on video, sheds light on the importance of the Second Amendment. The customer's ability to defend himself and neutralize the threat is a testament to the power it grants. It challenges the narrative often presented by proponents of high-capacity magazine bans. In this case, the armed citizens effectively incapacitated 3 out of 4 robbers without large ammunition capacity. Even if the robbers had been limited in their magazine capacity, their numerical advantage would have still posed a significant threat. The hero in this scenario demonstrated bravery and resourcefulness, making a tremendous impact despite the odds that were stacked against him. When faced with robbery at gunpoint, people generally fall into 3 categories: the compliers, the tactical compliers, and those who refuse. While the tactical compliers take advantage of opportunities to defend themselves when the criminals make a mistake. The latter group considers compliance a personal assault and is willing to fight back, even if it means risking their lives. While the friend mentioned earlier falls into the always complier category, the man in the video appears to be a tactical complier. He waited for the right moment to act, and he turned the tables on the robbers when they entered the store. Subscribe to the channel for more blues from around the world of heroics and crimes. Self-defense insurance acts as a safety net by supplying money to cover the cost of legal defense. It's a proactive move to protect your future, reducing the financial burden that could result from having to defend yourself and defend your conduct in court. We got to acknowledge the significance of lawful gun ownership for self-defense and be ready for any potential legal issues. We got to ensure our capacity to defend ourselves and our loved ones while upholding our rights in a complex legal environment by being aware, by considering self-defense insurance and things of the sort. This woman shot a mugger who was trying to rob her, and what happened later will leave you questioning the law and justice. Watch the video on your screen to learn more.